Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Frank Data coming to you live from Yo, the capital city of the Akwa Ibom State. We'll take a look at the headlines. President Buhari swears in Arase as Police Service Commission Chairman, 5 members of CCB. INEC begins presentation of certificates of return to governors-elect. Plus, Ukraine says it shut down a Russian bomber aircraft near Bakhmut. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us. We begin this afternoon with an update that President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in former Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase as the new chairman of the Police Service Commission, PSC. Arase's swearing in preceded the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, and came 2 months after the Senate confirmed him as chairperson of the PSC. Buhari had forwarded Arase's name to the Senate for confirmation in line with Section 153 subsection 1 and 154 subsection 1 of the Constitution as amended. Arase, who retired in 2016, was the 18th Indigenous Inspector General of Police from April 2015 to June 2016. Meanwhile, the President also swore in 5 board members of the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, namely Mutala Kankwa from Katsina State, Inhuri West, Zafani Bull from Nasarawa State, and Farouk Kumar from Yobe Northeast, among others. Reports say the council members observed a moment of silence in honor of retired Lieutenant General Oladipo Dia, who died on Sunday. Dia served as Chief of General Staff and Vice Chairman of the Provisional Ruling Council under the Abacha regime. To the red chambers now, where the Senate has approved the request of President Muhammadu Buhari to establish 10 new national parks across the country. The Senate's resolution followed the consideration and approval of a motion on the National Park Declaration Order 2022, sponsored by the Senate leader Ibrahim Gobia. Gobia explained that Buhari had written to the Senate on November 16, 2022, requesting the concurrence of the Senate to the National Park Declaration Order 2022 in consonance with Section 18 of the National Park Service Act 2004. He said the National Park Declaration Order seeks to establish 10 additional national parks based on due feasibility studies and environmental impact assessment in 12 selected forests and game reserves in various states of the Federation. He listed the parks that include the Alawa National Park, Niger State, Apoy National Park, Bayelsa State, Edumenum National Park, Bayelsa State, Galgare National Park, Kano State, and Hadija Wetland National Park, Jigawa State, among others. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has commenced the presentation of certificate of return to the governors-elect in 26 states where winners have been declared following the just concluded March 18th elections. Also, certificates had to be presented to the lawmakers-elect in the relevant state legislatures across the 36 states of the Federation. In a statement last Saturday, INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye had noted that Section 72, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 provided that the Commissions is mandated to issue a certificate of return within 14 days to every candidate who had been returned elected under the law. Consequently, INEC fixed today till Friday for the issuance of certificates of return to winners of the March 18 elections, adding that the presentations would take place in INEC offices in each state. According to reports, the results of 26 of the 28 governorship elections have so far been announced, leaving the elections in Kebbi and Adamawa, which were declared inconclusive. Meanwhile, supplementary elections are to be held in both states on Saturday, April 15th. Away from that, the federal government has given the assurance that the transition of power from President Muhammadu Buhari to the President-elect Bola Tinubu would be smooth and peaceful. This was as the government said the refurbishment of offices for the President and Vice President-elect had been completed. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the chairman of the Transition Committee, Bas Mustafa, stressed that litigation would not stop the handover ceremony from taking place. Mustafa noted that the Security Subcommittee had been saddled with the responsibility to ensure no one truncates the handover.
As far as the Presidential Transition Council is concerned, that's the essence of our setting up the various committees. The Inauguration Committee, which has responsibility for the processes of the inauguration, the swearing in, the parades, the activities preceding the formal handover of power. The Security Facilities and Intelligence Committee has the responsibility to ensure that nothing happens to truncate the process. So I can give you every form of assurance that Nigerians are very law-abiding people. Whoever has lost an election, we have provided for avenues for those people to ventilate whatever legal inquiry they want to make. But the process will continue unabated, and I can assure you that we are putting everything in place to ensure that the formal processes of handover takes place, and we do not create any political or constitutional crisis. 29th of May 2023 is D-Day. And
from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has approved the request by the federal government to borrow over $973 million from China Development Bank. This followed the decision by the China Exim Bank to reject Nigeria's $22 billion loan request earlier approved by the National Assembly. The chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Abubakar Falata, moved a motion for the Legislative Chamber to amend his resolution granting approval for the failed loan deal. Moving the motion, Falata said the House noted that the 2016 through 2018 federal government external borrowing pooling plan was approved by the Senate and the House of Representatives on March 5, 2020 and June 2, 2020, respectively. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill seeking to prevent lopsidedness in the appointment of persons as chairman and secretary of the Federal Character Commission, FCC. Reports say when the bill proposed becomes law, it will make it impossible for the chairman and secretary of the FCC to come from the two regions, not them who is representing Okanafon and Orowanam federal constituency in Akwa Ibom State. While leading the debate on the bill, recall that the legislation was read for the first time on July 15, 2021. He noted that the bill seeks to amend the provision of the Act to reinstate the position that the two critical positions to be appointed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria be expressly and mandatorily from each region of the country for the effective running and administration of the objectives of setting up the Commission. Still from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has urged the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government to apply a doctrine of necessity in the reintegration of Nigerian students evacuated from Ukraine following the invasion of the Eastern European country by Russia. At the plenary, the House particularly urged the Federal Ministry of Education, National Universities Commission, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, and the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria to ensure a seamless continuation of their education in Nigeria. The House also recommended that for order levels 1 to 5, the Federal Ministry of Education, JAMB, and the NUC are to ensure that the students are accommodated in the appropriate levels. In a separate development, the Special Investigative Panel on Oil Theft and Losses in Nigeria has submitted its report to the National Security Advisor, Babagana Mungono, in Abuja. The Head Strategic Communication Office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Usman, in a statement noted that prompt implementation of the report would not only create an immediate impact on crude oil production levels to meet the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC quota, but would also attract foreign direct investment and serve Nigeria's economic and national security concerns. While submitting the report, the chairman of the panel, Barry Ndiomu, said the panel engaged key stakeholders from within and outside the oil and gas industry, including state governments, ministries, departments and agencies, security agencies, regulatory agencies, international and indigenous oil companies, traditional institutions, host communities, artisanal refiners, among others. In another development, the Minister for Youth and Sports Development, Sanda Dare, has disclosed that a reform bill which has been submitted to President Buhari for assent will see the injection of 14 billion naira into the National Youth Service Corps. The Minister made this known during his welcome address at the opening ceremony of the 2023 Annual Management Conference held in Abuja. Dare, who congratulated the management of the NYSC ahead of the scheme's 50th anniversary, said discussions and reforms had to top the agenda of the conference, noting that the bill could not have come at a better time. The minister called on the management of the scheme to ensure that it paid attention to the core members' needs, adding that the youths of the country are important. Still on petroleum matters, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PEGASN, has called on the federal government to stop subsidizing premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. It also called on the government to ensure the speedy rehabilitation of Nigeria's refineries, stressing that it would help ease the hardship that could arise from the halt of fuel subsidy. PEGASN's President Festus Osifo disclosed this while speaking with journalists at the National Executive Council meeting of the association in Abuja. He explained that functional local refineries would not only increase the country's revenue base, but provide more job opportunities, as well as end the uncertainties in the fuel subsidy administration and product importation. Away from that, the Nigerian Air Force, NAF, has dismissed an online notification of admission into National Diploma and Higher National Diploma nursing programs for the 2023-2024 academic session at NAF, School of Medical Sciences and Aviation Medicine, Kaduna. The Director of Public Relations and Information, NAF, Fumoyiwa, said the advert signed by an impostor, INEC Obinna, asking unsuspecting members of the public to pay a non-refundable fee of 15,000 naira for the purchase of admission form was fake. According to him, the fraudster also provided 2 fake telephone numbers for inquiries in an effort to legitimize the illicit act. Move now to Africa, where Kenya's President William Ruto has condemned the opposition protests that turned violent and led to the damage of would not allow impunity to be part of the country's discourse. He vowed to ensure security for all Kenyans and businesses by giving the police the independence of enforcing law and order in the country. Meanwhile, religious leaders have also condemned the attack, urging politicians to consider dialogue and preach peace. Recall that veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga had accused the state of sponsoring violence so that protests degenerate into chaos and led to death. Odinga said the opposition will not relent with their agitation for a review of the 2022 elections, constitutions of the Electoral Commission, and addressing the rise in the cost of living.
Violence. When Azimio La Umoja called for protests in line with Article 37 of our Constitution, we never envisaged that in desperation, the state will respond by hiring goons and mercenaries to rain terror on peaceful and innocent Kenyans. How does Ruto go to Germany and talk about attracting German foreign investment to Kenya, knowing very well that back at home, he has put in place a machinery for victims
from violence and security forces to act with restraint during protest. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel said the U.S. regretted the loss of life and damage to property in the recent protests, adding that the right to peaceful assembly was a core aspect of democracy. On the foreign of Bakhmut today, the report comes as Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said the country will defend Bakhmut as long as the country needs it in terms of military defense stacks. Maliar said on Telegram that the battle for Bakhmut is not an apocalypse. In the meantime, power supply is reportedly disconnected in the occupied city of Melitopol in southern Ukraine after it was shelled by Ukrainian forces earlier today. A member of Council of Pro-Russian Military Civilian Administration in the Zaporizhia region, Vladimir Rogov, said on Telegram that power supply was suspended in Melitopol and some nearby settlements as a result of the shelling by Kyiv. Rogov added that the shelling came from HIMARS and there were no casualties recorded by emergency services are carrying out restoration work for power supply. And still to come in the news, Fabio Paratisi, FIFA places worldwide ban on Tottenham managing director. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us, and now to the rest of the news stories. On a business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has barred banks and other financial institutions seeking a conversion license from expanding or reducing their current banking network. The CBN disclosed this in a circular on regulatory guidelines for change of operational license for banks and other financial institutions (OFI) in Nigeria. A draft signed by the Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Chibuzo Efobi, stated that under the guidelines, prohibitions and restrictions shall be applied to eligible banks and financial institutions applying for conversion or recategorization. Meanwhile, the CBN stated that due to increasing requests from financial institutions to either upgrade or convert to other license administration, the draft guidelines aims to provide clarity to eligible financial institutions and regulatory requirements. Still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) has announced that the ongoing oil exploration in Nigeria's frontier basins is to grow the country's crude oil reserves from 37 billion barrels to 50 billion barrels. And NPC also commenced the official drilling for crude in Ebenyi, a well in Obi local government area of Nasarawa State, and stated that the well would support in hitting the 50 billion barrels oil reserves target. The group chief executive officer Melekari said that the oil firm had moved a drilling rig to the location and was optimistic of boosting Nigeria's daily oil output to about 3 million barrels. He noted that mobilization for re-entry into the Chad Basin had commenced as directed by President Buhari, adding that the oil company was making progress in other activities in the frontier basins. In health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) says that toll from Lassa fever in Nigeria so far this year has risen to 142. The NCDC, in its 11-week Lassa fever situation report, said there had been a total of 784 confirmed cases recorded from 23 states and 97 local government areas since the beginning of the year. Meanwhile, a total of 3,826 suspected cases were recorded from January to March 19, 2023. With the current death toll, the public health institution noted that the case fatality ratio of the outbreak stood at 18.1%. It added that the predominant age group affected in the country is 21 to 30 years, with a male to female ratio for confirmed cases being 10:9. Still in health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) has warned Nigerians not to use unapproved cosmetics as a result of the dangers associated to it. Director General NAFDAC Mojisola Deyeye, who was represented by Dr. Leonard Omopariola, Director, Drug Evaluation and Research, gave the warning during the media sensitization workshop on the dangers of bleaching creams and regulatory controls for South journalists in Port Harcourt. Adeyeye said the menace of unapproved cosmetics such as bleaching creams in Nigeria had become a national health emergency that required a multi-phase regulatory approach. According to him, unapproved cosmetic use banned and toxic chemicals to achieve skin lightening effect that leaves the user with undesirable effect, noting that some of the harmful effects of bleaching creams includes cancer and damage to vital organs of the body like the kidney and liver. We move to the excitement world of sport, where Tottenham managing director Fabio Paratici may have to step away from his current role after FIFA extended an initial ban worldwide. Paratici was given a 30-month ban in January after his former club Juventus were found guilty of false accounting. The 50-year-old served as sporting director and managing director at Juventus before joining Tottenham in June 2021. Meanwhile, Paratici and Juventus have both appealed their decision, and Paratici's initial ban only applied to Italian football, meaning he was able to continue working at Tottenham. However, the extended ban comes as Tottenham search for a new manager following the departure of Antonio Conte. Still in sports, Argentina captain Lionel Messi has passed 100 international goals as he scored his 7th international hat-trick in a friendly win at home to Curacao. The 35-year-old forward reached the landmark when he opened the scoring on 20 minutes in Santiago del Estero. He added 2 more before the break to complete a quick-fire treble. Chelsea midfielder Enzo Fernandez also scored before Argentina paraded the World Cup trophy in front of more than 42,000 supporters. It was Argentina's 2nd match on home soil since beating France in Qatar on penalties in December to win the World Cup. Recall that Messi scored his 800th career goal and 99th for Argentina in a 2-0 win over Panama in Buenos Aires last week. Paris Saint-Germain striker reached three figures for his country when he took a pass from Villarreal's on loan Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Giovanni Lo Celso and fired a low shot into the bottom corner. He remains third on the men's all-time international scoring list behind Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo 122 and Iran's Ali Day 109. On our entertainment news, Nigerian Idol is set to return for its 8th season in April 2023. MultiChoice Nigeria announced the show and judges return at a media lunch in the company's multi-purpose Lagos studio. According to them, popular TV personality INEC Osakidowa will be returning as the show's host for a third time alongside Obi Asika, who will also be judging his third season. Superstar singer, songwriter Simi and multi-award winning entertainment D'banj are also back for a second time, ensuring the band stays together. Still on entertainment, Prime Video has released the official trailer for Jade Osiberu's crime thriller, Gangs of Lagos. Set in Isale Eko, Lagos State, the trailer sets the stage for a gritty tale of survival involving three childhood friends, Obalola, Gift and Ife, as they navigate their destiny in a bustling city. Led by Toby Bakare, the action-packed film features Adesoye Tomi, Wellington, Chike, Bimbo Ademoye, Olarotimi Funkele, and Choma Chukwuka. Also featured in the film is Iyabo Ojo, Zlatan, and Mr. Macaroni, amongst others. And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Edit. Many thanks for being there, and to have a lovely day.